So in this video, we are talking about mixers, but specifically we're talking about channel 1 on 4 different mixers. And why are we doing that? So this we cover all the main features that we're gonna see when we look down that mixer. We're gonna cover what these features do for you and how they might benefit you and how they vary from mixer to mixer. Not all mixers have the same features. And of course we see that when we see some pretty big consoles out there and they can get pretty impressive. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover the most popular portable mixers that you would use at home for your studio setup. So I'm Robin, this is Expert Island, we're keeping it simple, and that's what today's video is all about. So here we go, we are gonna have a Mackie, we're gonna have a Harbinger, we're gonna have this guy right here, which is a Phoenix Pro. We're also gonna have a Pile. Now these are all here for different reasons, but they're all very popular. So let's take a closer look at what's going on when we plug this in. Now in this particular case here, this is what they call a combo jack. Now what that means is basically we have both 3-pin connection. So the 3 pins that we see on our microphone, which are on our XLR cable, are going to be right here. Now there's also a 1/4 inch right in the center. Now that 1/4 inch can be either balanced or unbalanced. The XLRs are balanced in this case. And what that means is basically we are going to see 3-pin representation. There's a lot more history going on there, exactly how balanced and unbalanced, but that's a video all on its own. But important to note on this particular mixer, when you see a combo jack, it doesn't mean that my microphone can be 1/4 inch. The electronics are wired internally on this for the impedance and gain control for a microphone to be on an XLR cable and for any line instrument or equipment to be on the 1/4 inch. So that's very important. If it's not a microphone, you can go 1/4 inch or XLR. If it is a microphone, you're definitely going to want to see that actual XLR cable. And again, these are features that you check because a lot of mixers do run in that fashion. And that's why we're covering it today, because a lot of mixers have variations to what their input capabilities are. And a lot of those variations can be seen right on the actual control. So our next plug is an actual insert. Now that's represented by a cable that looks like this. It's a tip ring sleeve. It's a send return cable. So that means it basically sends off of one channel and receives on the other. And that allows me to connect an external processor. So I can have a signal come from my microphone, chase out of this cable, get processed, come back in this cable and return here, and then continue its path down the actual line. So that's what an insert cable looks like. Again, these are used for external processing, external effects. Now again, it's really nice to see that this mixer has that, especially if you're looking for those kind of options. So under there, we're going to see 2 more buttons in this case here. The first one's a pad button, and the second one's a low cut button or low cut switch. Now what this particular normally has is on the low cut a number represented, and that's basically dropping the bottom end. So anytime you have background noise, you know, air conditioners, car driving by, anytime like that, really low end outside somewhere, rumbly sound, you can just press that button and get rid of that before you even record it. Now remember, anything under 100 Hertz won't get recorded either, but that's really nice for the spoken word or anytime you're just talking or recording a podcast or doing anything like that. You don't really need it, so you can cut it out right away. So the pad button stands for a passive attenuated device. Well, that's basically pretty straightforward. Passive means it doesn't require any power to work. So that's just exactly what is there. Attenuated means it's going to make an adjustment. In this case, it's going to drop it 26 dBs. And device, well, device means button. It's what it is. It's a button. It's doing something. It's a device. So that's what's going on there. This is, again, if you have super sensitive equipment, this is a great way to get it out before, cut it down before you go through everything, giving you room to do some adjustments. So a lot of times we don't need it, but occasionally you'll have something that's super sensitive. Maybe you're running a condenser microphone that's really, really sensitive and you've got your fan power, everything's running, and then you're still running with issues of way too much sensitivity. Well, you can press that button and fix that problem. On this mixer, the next actual dial is a gain control. Now, you'll notice a lot of times on gain control, you have 2 split numbers. You'll have a number in a white or black box and then black on white, that sort of thing. In this case, it's +10. The number on top is -16. And again, that has to do with what we've plugged into it and how much gain it's going to add to the system. Microphones are more sensitive, so that tends to be a lower number. The line inputs are more powerful and more gain is automatically there. So we're going to see that happen to the actual unit here in the represented numbers. That's why we have 2 sets of numbers. Now and again, there's no such thing as too much gain, except as you increase gain, you also increase distortion on most reasonably priced mixers. So of course, having this mixer fully gained up, you're going to hear a lot of background noise. And that's noise being generated by the actual gain actually being applied. Is it always a good thing? No, but that's the difference between a lot of mixers. How much gain is there and how much gain you can add. After the gain, this case here, we follow through with a 3-band EQ. And the EQs tend to have an actual frequency that are listed usually in the manual. Sometimes you'll see a number here, and then they'll be represented by how many dBs we could increase or decrease that signal by. So in this case, it's -15 to +15, and that allows me to adjust. Now remember, anytime you add to here, you're gonna have to take it away from somewhere else, because again, we're adding 12, let's say here. Well, if I had this all the way, that's all the way at the roof, we're gonna have to bring this back a little bit to make some adjustment rooms down here. We don't wanna overdo it, but that's how we can add more actual gain to the unit. Now, if I'm all the way up here and I'm getting a lot of noise, you could try backing up your gain a little bit here and compensating with equal gain on all 3 EQs. Now remember, when I add equal gain to all 3 EQs, I haven't changed the gain. I just lifted the actual baseline higher by, in this case, 9 dBs. Now again, EQs, like cream and sugar in your coffee, with a little bit of pumpkin spice. Do what you think is right for you and what you think is best for your sound. That's why they're here. They're there for you to use. So on this mixer here, we're going to find 2 more dials, a green one and a yellow one. The first one is our straight aux monitor option, which says number 1 mon, which stands for monitor. The second one says 2 EFX, electronic effects. Now, in this particular case, this can also be used as a monitor because that's how this mixer is set up. So that's why they offer 1 and 2 as numbers. But usually when they offer you the option for your effects to also be used as a monitor or a send receive option, that's going to stop using the internal effects in the unit. And again, we have the ability to increase or decrease from a flat point to +10. Now, what's also very nice to see on this particular mixer here is the last actual dial, which is a pan, a left and right option. This allows us to move sound back and forth. Now, you also see this represented sometimes as a balance, but a balance normally isn't something you're going to see on the first channels. You're normally always going to see a balance, and a balance basically means it's a single channel. I can move that signal to the left or move that signal to the right. I'm not choosing a left or right option. This is moving it to the left and moving it to the right. It's the same signal all the time because it's a single channel, and it's moving across back and forth. So, and the actual last button we're going to see on this mixer is right next to the pan, and that happens to be a solo button. It also is indicated by a light on top which says clip on it. Now the solo button basically allows me to be very specific about what I'm listening to. So I'm going to meter this one channel. None of these channels will be metered, just the ones that I press solo. So yes, I could press it on other channels and that would carry forward. But in this case, if I only had this one channel selected, that would be represented on the actual meter displays. That's why that's here. And it also is the only channel I would listen to on my headphones in my monitor setup. So if I was monitoring the mixing board, not just the mains out, this would be the only channel that I would hear on my actual headphones. Now the clip indicator is basically showing you how the actual unit, it's only going to indicate when it gets to the very top of the signal band. So if you're about to clip your actual board, your channels, this way it's going to be pancaking the sound after that, this light's going to indicate. You do want to see it come up and you do want to see it turn on, but you don't want to see it stay on steady because that means it's overmodulating that channel. And for this unit here, we're lucky enough to have a slider. Now this particular slider is basically proportionate. It doesn't stretch out the bottom end too much at all. So what happens is we do have good fading down, but then it tightens up pretty much at the bottom and it collapses at about 60% to 100% fade. But if you're looking for a good fade in and out, depending on the models, that's going to change. Now again, overall, I'm not judging the mixer because if you're looking for a karaoke mixer or if this is a mixer that you're looking at for a house of worship, you do have to be careful of one thing. A lot of the buttons do not have diodes protecting them. So if the board is hot, it does make a bit of popping and clicking sounds on it. So though I like the mixer overall, it's a great way to start. It's not something that I would go forward with because of those popping issues. I wasn't a big super fan of that, especially if you're going to be somebody using it for karaoke where you're going to be switching things on and off all the time. And here is our next mixer. This happens to be the Mackie PROfx10v3. You can see that it is actually smaller than the Phoenix Pro that we had before. And this one is more of a professional, not layout, because to be honest, they're both good in that sense, but performance, quality, reliability, and how well all the buttons mechanically work are going to vary. So yes, you do spend a little bit more money on this guy here, and it does offer you more features on the rest of the mixer. But most importantly, the sound quality of channel 1, what we're going to be talking about today, is going to be better on this unit. Now let's talk about what we do get and how we actually see some different things happen depending on the brands now, of course. So here's where brand variation and model variation comes into play. And again, the same combo setup, which we're going to see on a lot of mixers now, which is having the actual 1/4 inch and XLR connect together. Now again, I do want to emphasize that we'd still want to use an XLR for a microphone and 1/4 inch for everything else. It doesn't mean that you can't use a 1/4 inch for a line input. It'll just change your gain sensitivities, so you just keep an eye on that. Now this mixer, nice setup with a high Z, so this way I can plug my actual guitar into here and run it straight into the mixing board. That's when you see a high Z. That's what's going on with that one feature there. Now we still have our insert option, just like we saw in the previous one, so we can hook up external processors or effects pedals. That can be all done here. As long as we have the send return option or using that send return cable that we had, that'll work as well. Low cut 100, exactly what we've seen before. Right here. Now again, straightforward, press the button, engages that low frequency cut, have it up. There's lots of great reasons to use it. Anytime you're not actually running an instrument through here where you're going to need to achieve those low cuts, engage that button. You'll be all set. Now here, before we even get to the EQ, we're going to have 2 dials. Now we have our gain controls, again, -20 or unity, all the way up to +60 or +40, depending on what we're plugging in on top. That's all indicated right here. Now below that, we have a compressor. These are expensive, and this unit has them built on the first 2 channels. But in this case, we're talking about channel 1. Here's that magic compressor. This allows me to have bigger variations in my voice volume-wise without having to have any actual loudness applied to that volume. So it's very important. Whenever you have somebody who's got a great range in their voice when it comes to how soft or how hard they speak, that's when they hit the limit too much. This gain control is going to help control that. Next, we have, again, 3-band EQs, in this case, -15, +15, and Mackie's gone as far as to actually tell us what's going on. So the high is set at 12 kilohertz, the medium is set at 2.5 kilohertz, the low is set at 80, and that's where we're going to be able to increase or decrease our actual EQ controls. After that, we're going to have ourselves 1 yellow dial, and that's going to be for effects. Now notice there was no actual monitor option control here, just the actual FX control, and that's what's going on right here. Now at the same time, this effects can be used as a monitor option, but again, that will disengage the actual built-in effects of the unit. Panning option, really, really nice. There you go. There's your pan left and right option. Again, I like seeing that on a mixing board. That gives you good options to actually control the mixing. A mute button. This has always been my favorite. So this happens to be the same model mixing board that I use every day and the actual mixing board that's recording this video today. And I use this button all the time. It's that mute button. So I have things constantly plugged in across all the channels. And of course, most of them are muted 99% of the time. I only unmute the one I'm using for the particular video at the particular moment. And down at the bottom, we have a dial, which allows me to increase and decrease that channel's setting. Very easy to understand, very easy to look at. Again, Mackie makes their actual controls pretty straightforward. They're pretty much bulletproof when it comes to using them. They're going to last an awful long time. It's mechanically built into the design of the actual unit. Now there's one actual LED built on the channel, which is located way on top. It's called a level set. This basically lets you know how active the channel is, to the point that it's going to increase from a light green to a solid green. We don't want to have it too solid where we see nothing else but green, because that means we're hitting the ceiling pretty hard all the time. But there you go. Very nice, very straightforward. Again, the Mackie does a very nice job. It is very tight. There's not a lot of room in here, but this is a portable, easy to use mixing board. So again, most of these are going to be set and left once you get it dialed in the way you want. So here we go. This has been an extremely popular mixer for us forever. When Pilot came out with it, it was reasonably priced, good quality. It was, I don't know if the manufacturer did it, but I do know that, though I don't have a problem personally with Pilot because I know they're a consumer brand, but this particular mixer just knocked it out of the park. The things that you would normally worry about reasonably priced mixers does not happen with this. So there's no popping sound or noisiness in this actual mixer. So that made it very popular and people really like keeping it. If you look at it on Amazon, you're going to see how popular it is. It's crazy. It does come in a bunch of different sizes. This happens to be one of the smaller ones, but we're here to talk about channel number 1. Now we're going to see, because we're at a reasonable price and we're even smaller, that we're going to start losing a lot of those features. First, right off the top, we have our combo jack. Convenient, easy. There's nothing else here besides the combo jack. Again, 3-pin XLR and the 1/4 inch balance unbalance option. Next, we have our pad button right here, which is minus 26. Right beside that, they actually, for the first time, we're seeing an actual independent phantom button, which is the plus 48 volt option right here with the light indicating when it's on and not. That's nice because it gives us independent control across, and this happens to be 2 channels, but so we see it twice, but nice that we can have it on or off individually. Below that, we have a gain control. So in the gain control, we're going to go from plus 20 to plus 64, or from a minus 6 to a plus 38. The lower numbers tend to represent the microphone gain. The higher number tends to represent the line input gain. 3-band EQ. Now, they just give us a high, mid, and low. And in the manual, you can see the exact crossover. But in this case, we're going to go from a minus 15 to a plus 15 dB increase. After that, we're going to see 1 yellow dial. And in this case here, we're looking at FX send on this same dial, which basically means I can use this either as a monitor or a send return function off to the side. And we're seeing it as 2 and 1. So again, we can increase and decrease this. 1 LED light is the peak indicator. So again, it's going to be gradual coming on, but again, if it's solid hard red, it's definitely your peak in that channel. And at the bottom, we're going to have a dial control for our actual line channel level settings. And there you go. That's how a pilot's set up. Again, I'm not upset with this because I'm not having any problems with any of the rest of it. And everybody who has it, of course, not just me, is very happy with it. I also did over 100 plus videos for my channel using this as the audio source. So no issues there whatsoever. And here's our 4th actual mixer for today's video. It's going to be from Harbinger, their LX12. Again, it's my day in, day out mixer when it comes to hooking up equipment in the actual studio that's going to be used for the actual videos or in the background. So in this particular case, looking down at channel 1, we're going to see a whole bunch of dials. So we're going to start at the top and have a look here. We've got ourselves a combo jack. So again, that's that 1/4 inch bounce or unbounce, and our XLR 3-pin, those 3 little holes there. Below that, we're going to see our first 2 buttons for this actual channel, which are the pad button and the high pass filter. This is an interesting spin to it because instead of showing us as a low cut, they're showing it as a high pass. So how much high frequency we're going to pass through versus how much low frequency we're going to cut off. So in this case, it's set at 80 Hertz. Compared to the last mixers that we saw offering this feature as a low cutoff, that was set at 100. So again, another number to look out for, and that can change from mixer to mixer. The pad button in this case here is set to minus 26. Amazingly enough, all the mixers we looked at today all had the exact same minus 26 dBs. After that, we're going to have 2 dials. We're going to have our gain control and our compressor. So again, our gain, which in this case here, they don't indicate what the actual levels are. They are noted in the instruction manual though. Then we're same thing with our compressor options. So again, compressors here, multiple of them on the unit. Remember, compressors are the most expensive feature on here. 3-band EQ. Again, this particular model here does take the time to emphasize what the actual 3 band is going to be set at. So 10, 2.5, and 100 Hertz. So, and you can do some pretty interesting stuff when you have an actual high pass or low cut at 80 with an actual low set at 100. It means that you can really bring up that bass response at 100 and have it taper off really fast right away after that. So it's kind of cool that you can do that, 80 here and 100 here. So on this unit here, we're going to see 2 more dials. Now, occasionally they change up the way they look. So in this model here, our actual built-in effects are on top and our monitor is set down below, allowing us to do precise adjustments to whichever feature we want to have there. Then again, one of my big features I also like to see is the ability to have that pan option between our left and right. Clip indicator showing us that we've exceeded the limit or we're reaching the limits of this particular unit. And then this uses a dial control on it. Again, very clean, very commercial grade quality when it comes to sound off of this particular mixer here. I'm going to rate this one closer to what we see on the Mackie, except even in a smaller compact design. Now, all these mixers also have different features associated next to it, but we're really in this video talking about all the different variations that you can see on just one channel, that first channel right along. And again, this mixer does a good job of showing a lot of the important features. But again, there's lots of features that are always missing. So you have to kind of balance off with what you think you're going to need when you're getting into a smaller mixer. So I like the compact sizes, but again, there are variations and we're going to sacrifice certain features. So definitely have an idea of what you'd like to have, and that's going to certainly help you decide what's the best mixer for you. It's very important that you understand that not all mixers are created equal and not all features are the same. So that's very important to note. Now remember, you can get better gain control off one mixer versus another. So you definitely want to have the ability, if you can in person, to try them out. So that's why it's always nice if you can go down to a store. So if you have the ability to go down to Guitar Center, by all means, you can do that and have a look, see what's going on. Or you can use the links down below to compare all the different models that you think might fit for you. I'd like to say thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video. By the way, that's what this is all about. You can hit that subscribe button at any point in time. You can also watch the next video, which is all presented to you right here. Hopefully this worked out enough for you to hit that like button. And again, maybe I'll see you subscribing. Maybe I'll see you throw a comment down below. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.